Back on TC Live, Andy Roddick is, among other things, a really good sport, and he's going to prove it on October 11th. That is the date for the Andy Roddick No Love Celebrity Roast. It will be an online event with proceeds to benefit the Andy Roddick Foundation. Celebrity roasters will include Peyton Manning, John Legend, and other A-listers to be named. For more information, go to arfoundation.org. And with that, we say good evening to Andy Roddick from his home in the mountains. You've seen all those Comedy Central roasts. They get pretty brutal. Are you nervous about this at all?
I have provided much content for this roast over my lifetime, and I am going to get annihilated.
I know before we moved on, you had a question that you wanted to ask about the Courier-Kenin match that we just had.
It was a comment.
Oh, yeah?
Well, no, it was a question. It was in your minds, was that the match where it was very apparent that the crowd not being there actually may have ended in a different result? I think if the crowd turns, you blow a 5-2 lead, 2 match points. Sofia Kenin's kind of getting in your grill a little bit. I think Courier goes nuts if there's a crowd actually going against her. I think that's one of the ones where it could have turned with the help of a crowd. What do you guys think?
I think historically that's the case too, is Courier's always had a hard time managing her emotions, especially in high stress situations, and could have just taken one person in the crowd to kind of get on her case a little bit. And you're right, we're going to see that. Maybe the top players don't get fired up as much, and maybe it helps when things aren't going so well. You kind of forget about it and are able to move on. I think that's a great point.
All right, Andy.
Yeah, I will say, I think the chance of detonation on that one was high to very high.
The fuse was burning, but it got extinguished before it reached the explosive device. Obviously, for tennis to come back this week, first combined event, players and staff and everybody around have had to get used to a new normal with protocols and testing and social distancing. All the players, it appears, have reacted quite well to it. Here's what Serena Williams had to say about the new normal for her.
I don't know if there's been anything too hard to adjust to. I think for me, I've been really just super careful. And like, if anything, I'm just not taking any risks. So I think the biggest adjustment is just the extra testing, but I'm all for the extra testing, actually.
Jim, we know that athletes are creatures of habit. They have had to get way out of their comfort zones to come back right now in tennis. How impressed have you been by their flexibility?
Yeah, very much so. Look, Serena has pre-existing conditions she has to be mindful of as well with her lungs. So I think everyone is adjusting, and she is smart to take it very, very seriously. But no, I think there's been a real positive reaction from the players about the bubble. They've been very accepting of it. And I think, Lindsay, you raised a point about the players who weren't in the bubble and how they will come to see what the bubble is and maybe be more accepting of going to Australia next year, which will have the type of bubble that the U.S. Open is presenting right now.
I would think it as a player, you would feel most safe in a bubble atmosphere. And there's some players, of course, that travel is a risk, but weren't sure of what to expect in New York. And now sitting back, if I were a player and I had chosen not to go and I'm seeing how it's playing out and the positive reviews from everybody who's involved and how safe it is, I feel a lot better playing there than potentially playing in a tournament that's not in a bubble and a lot more exposure. And I think the players that went and made the sacrifice are certainly happy that they did.
Yeah, I actually I had the chance to talk to Serena earlier this week, and I was kind of asking about it. And she thought it was a great sign going out in her first rounds in Kentucky last week. And she still felt like there were jitters. She still felt like the energy was there, and maybe that's a layoff. Another thing that is a huge advantage for Serena is she's not someone that actually plays a lot of events. She can take 2, 3, 4 months off at a time, come back and perform well. Whereas, as we're seeing on the women's side with Kenin and Pliskova, maybe they need those matches a little bit more than Serena does.
All right, we'll get our first look at Serena coming up tomorrow. We want to shift gears a little bit here, Andy. You did a record review for us yesterday. Here's a little fashion question for you. We got our first look at the Nike kits for the U.S. Open yesterday, which are inspired by these Nike Challenge courts that Andre Agassi wore back in the early 90s. Wondering what you think of the looks.
I'm very, very into it. As a kid, I made all of the bad fashion choices right along with Andre. I liked him so much and wanted to be him so much, I decided to go bald later in life. All we need now, what we need now is the retro Jim Courier, like short with no spandex protection underneath. I'm ready for it all.
We're not going there. We're gonna. The spandex is good. It offers more protection. No sunburns on the quads.
That's what we're protecting from.
I want to see someone come out with a short and a real pale leg. That's what I want to see.
Good. Jim, you still have those, I believe, in your closet somewhere just for posterity. Maybe they're in the Hall of
Tomorrow,
Fame.
we'll get him to bring them in.
Okay, how about this? If Jim will do that, will you bring back the visor, Andy?
Oh my God, my visor would look like a disaster now. Are you kidding me? That's terrible. Jim still has quad muscles. I don't have I don't have what I need for the visor.
All right. We'd still like to see it. I just selfishly, as a parentheses, we'll take a break right here.
Pick any one of the companies that you're promoting and put it on the visor, Andy. It's fine.
Andy did Real or Not Real on this yesterday, and it turns out we have an update, and this might be the first time he has been sleuthed incorrectly.